Stuart Isaacs. I know y'all tired, but bear with us. We'll make this fun, painless, and free. And this is my partner.
My name is Miss Shamika Ebony. I'm with Sunday Stacks, and we're excited to be a part of what you all are doing. I'm pretty sure it's been very action-packed with a lot of information. And we're going to get to the fun part in being with us. Anybody ready for the fun part? Yeah. All right, awesome.
So basically, we're here with a program called I Am Brilliant. And what we're doing is we've traveled across the country. We've been featured on the Today Show. We've gone to different organizations and different community programs to connect with young people like yourself to get one fundamental question: what makes you brilliant? And for me, my background, I am an entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 13 years old. How old is the average in here? About 17?
17.
Okay. Have any of y'all ever considered starting a business before?
Yeah.
Okay. So with me, I started early in business and entrepreneurship. I was a kid originally from Brooklyn, New York. I moved to North Carolina to transition, and ultimately, I used to be a troublemaker. But ultimately, I laugh because exactly 20 years ago in my life, the number one fundamental thing that was bothering me was I couldn't read. So at the age of 12, I had an issue in reading. But once I decided to overcome it, it was based on this fundamental principle. I had to figure out what was special about me, what made me different, and what could I use to leverage. And from there, I realized I was great at designing. I used to draw a lot. My mother had a fashion background. So I started to write in business. My grandma said it takes 5 years to be an entrepreneur. And so I jumped right into it. By the time I was 16 years old, I was featured in Black Enterprise magazine. And I've been an entrepreneur and fearless ever since. My partner here, Shamika, will tell you a little about herself.
Well, my name is Shamika. I'm here from North Carolina, born and raised, actually from Kinston. So I know Duke has some good connections with Kinston right now with our new Duke student that is now going to be playing for Los Angeles Lakers. Go Duke. My passion is in community engagement. I've been in nonprofit work for probably about as old as you all are. Interestingly enough, I know I don't look it. But I'm really excited about helping people. I believe that God gave me a call to be the voice of the voiceless, and I take that very seriously in the work that I do. In my community engagement, I found that there's a lot of communities that are suffering, and they have intelligent, brilliant people like yourselves in those communities. And if we can illuminate what makes you special, a lot of times brilliance is connected to what we identify as scholastic ability. But the actual definition of brilliant is the illumination, the light, the what makes you passionate? What do you love to do? What are the things that you do that nobody else can do? Or what are the things you could do without even thinking about it? Those are the things that make you brilliant. And what I believe as a community scientist is that if you can connect those things that make you brilliant with what your community needs, what your family needs, what your future career could be, then you can make the difference. Everyone came here to this program with the expectation that you could change the world, right? Right. So you already have brilliant ideas. And what we like to do is bring this message to illuminate what you can tangibly do with your skill set, your scholastic ability, your creative gifts, and be able to put them together to be able to become the greatest citizen that you are in your community by applying those gifts in the different capacities that you all see fit.
Exactly. We're looking just to see if we can inspire young people like yourself, just like myself. I never expected for my career and the opportunities that I had to take shape. It was basically me being willing to step outside of myself. All of you are from around the country, correct? So, right there, you all have taken a huge step towards your future. Most of the time, we don't step out enough to give ourselves an opportunity to experience something new. And when you get a chance to experience something new, your mind expands. Have any of y'all come from neighborhoods that are sometimes closed off and limited and have small resources? But with your gifts and your talents, and if we can teach other people how to use their gifts and talents, it can change communities, it can change families, it can change the whole nation. And that's the goal, and hopefully we can change the globe. We all know there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now, but each and every one of you all affect that like a domino. It's an echo that we all create. And what we want to do is use this campaign to bring that light out of you all and bring the spirit. Has anyone in here ever been asked what makes them brilliant? By show of hands? That's fundamentally what we're starting to realize and why we launched this campaign. Because for you all, you are fortunate to be here at Duke University. You're fortunate to be here at this Fuqua School of Business to get this experience because future business leaders, Fortune 500 CEOs are sitting in the seats that you all are sitting in right now. Any of y'all raise your hand if anyone's ever thought about community activism or starting a business? Every single one of y'all. Anyone just wants to go find a job when you get out of school? Okay, my man. So the majority of y'all have raised your hand to say that you want to take ownership of your life. You sat here and sought a way to do it. Now, what we want to do at I Am Brilliant is get you all to realize that the talent, that thing that may just come so easy to you, it could be cooking, it could be sewing, it could be how you do mathematics, but it's something that you can do that other people come to you first, and you think it's nothing, but that's that special gift that God has put in each and every one of y'all that can change a community and then ultimately become your future business venture. So we go around. Do you want to ready to talk with the kids? We want to engage you all. We don't want to talk at you. We want to get to know each and every one of y'all and get a sense to ask y'all. So who's willing to volunteer if we asked you what makes you brilliant? Raise your hand. Okay, we'll start with you, young lady. What's your name?
I'm Cindy Benjamin.
Yes.
I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. What makes you brilliant?
What makes me brilliant is my perseverance and my creativity in problem solving.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Javier?
I'm Javier Perez from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I believe that what makes me brilliant is my perspective on life and how I view it.
Awesome. One of the incredible things that I found when we engaged with conversation, whether it's been with Miss Nikki Giovanni, y'all familiar with who Miss Nikki Giovanni is? If not, study her writings, her civic engagement in our history is very powerful. With her passion about writing poetry and doing spoken word, we had the opportunity to meet with her a few months back, and even in her age range and genre, we found that different eras of time has different responses. Some people are very quick and witty and responding to just say, well, my brain makes me brilliant, duh, and then we have others that it takes them a while to respond. But everyone has that light bulb moment. And for each and every one of you, I remember when I was 16 coming to Duke for a summer program. It was actually the TIP program. It was for academically gifted. And the pursuit of actually filling out the application, just like you all have filled out this application and pursued having this opportunity here, there are other people in your neighborhoods and communities, your schools, your cities, your towns that may not be aware of this opportunity or may not know how to get involved, but you all are taking the leads. You all are the innovative thinkers. You all are the brilliant lights that when you go back home to your city or town, in your neighborhood, you get to share the information that you all use here. Is anyone here currently volunteering in like nonprofit or community programs? Phenomenal! This is so good because I think just as the session you all just previously had, I thought it was an awesome tie-in. When you look at business and you look at community engagement, being able to have a social consciousness about what you're doing is very significant in what you all are leaving for those that come behind you. Now, when I was 17 here at Duke, going around taking the pictures by the chapel and all the cool, scenic, touristy places, I never would have imagined that I had the opportunity to come back and speak at a program in which I fought to have an opportunity. I grew up in a low socioeconomic community, or what we call the projects. Anybody familiar with that? Yeah. So the opportunities weren't knocking on our door, and I had to fight to even have the knowledge of it. But what I've learned now as a community organizer is what I learned for myself, I get to, and I call it the village mentality. So what I can do for one, I want to be able to do it for 10,000. One of the times I have been written about, someone called me a superhero, and I was like, well, if I'm a superhero, then I'm ordained to make 10,000 more. And I believe that superhero experience turned into the I Am Brilliant campaign, in which we're illuminating lights of those that can connect with that passion to be something different, to be the first one to go to college, to be the first one to start a business, to be the first one to leave a legacy for our family members that may not have an understanding of what starting a business is or what sustaining a business is. So being able to have these experiences like coming here and seeing all these, being exposed to all these presenters here with all these diverse ideas, we get to take that business structure, the discipline of learning people all across the country and creating those relationships. I still have connections with some of those people that I was in the TIP program with from Duke. I actually hit them up a few days ago. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm coming back to Duke. So it was really good to be able to have that connection. And so not only do we do this face-to-face coming to you all, but we have this on social media. Everybody's on social media?
Yeah.
So these are the only notes we're going to have for you. We want you to write down hashtag I am brilliant. And if you journal, if you blog, we want you all to be able to write your own story about what makes you brilliant. We had some incredible stories today shared about why people believe they're brilliant. And if you can't necessarily quickly write what makes you brilliant, then take some time to think about it. I promise you, I guarantee you, there's not been one person that could not find what they're brilliant at. And if brilliant is too big of a word to encompass, then just diversify it. What am I super passionate about? What is my first-hand nature? What am I super gifted in? Those are things that are going to still bring you back to the fact that you're illumination, you are a light, you are a lighthouse in that capacity. And we want to be able to help you all connect. We have owned this hashtag since we petitioned the president last November, with the Youth Entrepreneurship Czar, which my partner Michael
YEC.
Yes. Began to tell his story to the president about everything that he had been doing with entrepreneurship, and then looking at the opportunity to travel the country and empower and engage and equip young people to do the same thing. You know, back then when he began his business, they said it would take 5 years to create a successful business. I've seen startups zoom up and go faster than that. You know, the opportunity, the technology, and the resources, and how young people get out and just go, we have those opportunities to change the narrative of what has happened in the past. You want to share a little bit about Board Nation?
Yes. I did want to touch on one amazing thing Shamika said, because this is the most powerful thing about this room. All of you all are from across the country. You now, at the ages of 16 and 17-year-olds, have a network that spans the nation. Right now, in this room, you have a whole network, not just on the internet, but you have people you're looking at that are from as far as Puerto Rico, and you're talking Georgia to Texas, New York, California. All of you all are stretched out across the country. Hold on to these relationships. Utilize these relationships as ways to start looking at these social entrepreneurial enterprises that you can start to build. One thing I can tell you about life and what people choose is you always want to be a part of something, and we have to make money to keep our economy and keep our system going. And you all are the leaders that can do that. Like Shamika was saying, my entrepreneurial path started from someone telling me I wasn't going to be anything. It wasn't someone saying what makes me brilliant. I can only imagine how my career could have changed. But just from the simple fact, someone telling me I wasn't going to be anything, I've been able to do so much more. As she was alluding to the fact, my company is called Mosaic, but we've launched several brands since then. I have a brand called Hip Hop Wall Street, which we talk to young people across the country, teaching them about business and entrepreneurship, but more of the hippity hop, as my parents would say, trend, and take that energy and use the culture, use the styles and stuff. You guys, your generation is amazing, first and foremost. You have more access to information like no one else has ever had in birth. And you all actually, do you not feel sometimes smarter than your parents? Yeah. Go ahead, be honest, right? But at the same time, when I was young, the internet was just starting. 1996, 1998 is when I launched my company. Now, all these years later, I'm almost 20 years into this. And I've worked with every major superstar from Jay-Z, Beyonce, Kanye West. I've worked with different fashion leaders, Tommy Hilfiger. I've worked on Project Runway. I've done a million things to continue to pursue. And it was me, like you all, taking advantage of every opportunity. Now I have an opportunity to build a brand called Board Nation. And Board Nation is a digital platform that we're building up in this new era. And we're what we call the third wave, which is what you guys, millennials, are going to create, the third wave of businesses. Don't let, just because it's hard, be the reason that sets you back. I tell people starting a business is like being a farmer, okay? So remember this now. Listen, if I never tell you anything, starting a business is like being a farmer. And the main thing you have to realize is when you put a crop in the ground, when you put a seed in the ground, does it grow overnight? It takes time. So right now with I Am Brilliant and what we're trying to do for you all and telling you our stories, we're trying to plant a seed in your mind that's going to grow. 90 days, it'll grow to something. The next 90 days, it'll get bigger. The next 90 days, it'll get bigger. Another 90 days, you're in a whole year, and you have a tree. And this is what we call knowledge, right? They say that the world started from the tree of knowledge. So you all have to realize that tree, too, started from a seed. And I Am Brilliant is just a seed to open you up. As far as my companies, we do have cards for you all, so you can check it out, Board Nation USA. It stands for the United Sports Association. What we've done is created a brand that unites 3 different sports, which is skateboarding, surfboarding, and snowboarding. We travel the country doing events and competitions. We work with everyone from Tony Hawk. We are now working here locally with our Research Triangle Park on a new project that's coming up in a few months. So you all can do anything. Right now, I'm currently 32 years old, and I've been in business for 20 years. Imagine what you can say if you decide tomorrow to take that seed that we're planting with I Am Brilliant, whether it's to start something for your community or if it's something that you can grow into a business enterprise. And like you said, this was a great follow-up to the last presenter, because I believe she was talking about B corporations, which is benefit corporations. We're fully familiar with that. That is the future, and that is something that's very realistic for you all here. Your parents invested money into you all for you to grow and then make investments eventually. You all will become the investors in the future. So make sure you invest in your community so that way you can have unity. And I believe you all kind of get this. Is there anybody else that wants to share what makes you brilliant? Is there any more volunteers? Okay.
If not, we'll open the floor for questions before we open it up for you all to take
And you
a
can ask
photo.
questions about anything.
Besides community paper and something like how have you marketed
We've used the social media platform to market what we're doing. We have Instagram through M. Stewart Isaacs that showcases our going across the country since November. We also have a Facebook page where we keep the information, so it's facebook.com/Sunday Stacks. And we also are doing Kickstarter campaign through GoFundMe, which is iambrilliant.org. Because ultimately this movement will turn into an institute that will train other community organizers, social entrepreneurs to really continue this message long after what we're doing today.
So we use public relations. We have a lot of relationships all across the country as well too, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta. So we go to these communities, but we work with people who do public relations, putting out press releases, doing news forums. Again, currently we're a part of a program and a movement called Forward Cities, which Durham, North Carolina is a part of. So that's something that's across the country where there are places like Cleveland, Detroit, who are trying to get their second leg and their second growth. And we're moving the I Am Brilliant through all these different organizations, bringing them together so that number one question that you all have identified and no one's ever asked you can start being asked to more young people like yourself. So again, go around and start asking your brothers and sisters. Anyone have siblings, young siblings, even older siblings? When you go home, I challenge you. Ask your mom and dad. Watch their face light up. Why are you asking me this question? Ask them what makes them brilliant. Because you'll come to find out that's the fundamental difference between the people we call the 1% and those who we call everything else. Is that at some point in their life, to those people who found great success, someone asked them, what is special about you? And they cultivated that. And that's all we're saying. You'll get all these different skills from school, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But it's that gift that you were born with, that your name represents, that who you are. Anyone in here know what their name means? Look into that as well, too. The more you know yourself, the more powerful you'll be. And the more you can identify with that, the more self-confidence you'll show. And confidence is everything. And that'll change that. So
your homework assignment, how cool is that? Is when you have this conversation about asking someone what makes them brilliant, don't allow them to stop the conversation with saying, I don't know or I'm not. Help them dig. It just takes a little bit for you all to help be the seed sowers and the cultivators in helping someone find what that gift is. So this time, we would love if all of you could come down and we take a large group photo, and then as time permits, we'll do some individual shots for those that would like this to be a part of your own personal social media
Come join the
campaign
People's
today.
Campaign.